Denise, all set? Good afternoon and welcome to the February 25th, 2025 meeting of the Fayette County Board of Elections. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion that we again defer the voter challenge policy review again to another month, if that's possible. There's still been no movement, and there's a lot of discussions going on right now with voter challenges, and so I think we'd be better off spending our time looking at the polling locations and stuff.
Okay. I think the way we need to do that is when it comes up on the agenda to just table it
Okay, sorry.
for another month rather than modify the agenda. Is that correct? Okay.
Sorry.
All right. In that case, do I have a motion on the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the agenda.
Sure, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public comments, and we have no one signed up for public comments. Moving on to new business, we have nothing under new business. And moving then to old business. First item under old business is the voter challenge review policy, at which point I would
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we table the voter challenge policy review to next month, 2 months.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, I would second that motion.
Any further discussion? I only have one question for our attorney. Can we table it more than 1 month?
As long as it's to a date certain, you can table it whenever you want.
Next month's meeting?
Huh?
Next month's meeting?
With the legislature in session, I'd say let's go at least 2 months. That would go take it to April or May? April?
But, yeah, you can do that.
Do you want to amend your motion
To
to
table?
table it until the April 22nd?
Yes,
Meeting?
I would.
Okay. So,
Is Zach okay with this?
Mhm.
Okay.
What?
okay.
Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second. The motion was amended to table the voter challenge review policy until Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. Any further discussion? In that case, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the municipal intergovernmental agreement approvals. And my understanding is we need to vote on approving those individually. So the first one that we have in our packet is the intergovernmental agreement for conducting municipal elections for the city of Fayetteville. And I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the intergovernmental agreement for conducting municipal elections for the city of Fayetteville.
I would second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next intergovernmental agreement is with the town of Tyrone. And we have an intergovernmental agreement for conducting their municipal elections for the year 2025.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the intergovernmental agreement for conducting municipal elections for the town of Tyrone.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I'll second the motion.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Next item is the intergovernmental agreement for conducting municipal elections for the city of Peachtree City.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the intergovernmental agreement for conducting municipal elections for the city of Peachtree City.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
all right, any discussion on that one? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Next intergovernmental agreement is with the town of Brooks for their municipal elections.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the intergovernmental agreement for conducting municipal elections for the town of Brooks.
Second.
Okay, any discussion there? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Was there any for Woolsey?
Yes, Woolsey canceled their February meeting, so they will meet on March 10th. So we will present their IGA at our March meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, so that'll be carried forward for next month. Okay. So we have approval of all of the previously approved by the municipalities of the intergovernmental agreements. The next item on the agenda is the polling location, co-location review. And after, at last month's meeting, we discussed and asked staff to come up with a plan on the possibility of co-locating polling locations. And after, we'll get into the individual items, but after reviewing the legal aspect and discussing it with the county attorney, we're very limited by what we can do as far as co-locating because the way the statute is written, if we have an existing polling location within a precinct, then we don't have justification to move that polling location outside the precinct. So co-locating two voting locations would necessitate that. So that ties our hands a little bit with one exception, and we'll get to that as far as we go through it. So that's where we are, and we're going to discuss them individually. But before I ask the director to go into those individually, the statute and the guidance that we have, the best procedure if we need to or choose to make changes for the benefit of the voters is to actually combine precincts. If that is the most viable legal process that we would have to follow versus co-locating multiple precinct voting venues. So with that, I'll ask the director to take us through what we have. Director?
Thank you. I would like to add to your summary that regardless of the decision that you all directed me to move on today, there is no moving of anything today. You would just simply direct me to put a notice into the newspaper for our next board meeting for a hearing, and then you all will make a determination. So I just wanted to be clear that there would be no physical action of moving any locations on today. And I will also ask, if I may, that any moves that we make, that they're done for the next, the November election, the general election, versus the June election, because any changes that are to be made have to be within the 90-day stature, and that is on March 19th. And our next board meeting is on March 25th. That will also, Chair Rower brought some very good points to me as well, that will also give us enough time to make sure that we educate our voters and get out notifications, and that everything is seamless and smooth for the voters for any changes that we possibly may make today. With that being said, you all received 2 documents. One of your documents is the recommendation report, and it just has all of the information that you need to make an informed decision. I don't want to focus on that document today. You also have a polling location proposal packet. So it has the map on the front page, and I just want to go through each of those together one by one. There are 8 items inside of this proposal. And at the top, you'll see a number, so if we could refer to that number and name as we talk about each one, that would help me also be able to keep up with what we are discussing. So for the first proposal is number 2020. 2025-01 Kenwood. And based off of our maps and looking at the district lines for the voters, my recommendation is for Kenwood in Europe to be considered for co-locating or merging, whichever way you direct me. And for that precinct, it has 1,028 voters. During the last two general elections, one in 2022, it was a 23% voter turnout on election day only. In November of last year, 2024, it went down to a 19% turnout on election day. The distance between the two locations is 1.9 miles. Did you all have any questions for me about that proposal in particular?
Go ahead.
Okay. Help me out. I'm trying to keep straight. You
Okay.
said co-location or merger?
So
Do you-
I did use that verbiage, but I do want to point out, to go back to what Chair Rower discussed, that, and when speaking with the attorney, it's not his recommendation to do co-location because of the way that the laws are worded.
Help me out with, because I visited these precincts pretty recently, but I tend to get them confused. When you say it would stay Kenwood precinct would be the term, we're just moving the location from True Light, yes, to Liberty? I'm getting confused.
Seeing that our hands are tied with co-location, we'll just go away from that if that. Well, I guess first, could you maybe determine if we want to move forward with co-locations and then we only talk merging? Is that a valuable conversation so that it would knock out the confusion possibly?
I was going to suggest that we actually, because there's only the one that is the possible subject of a co-location, that we discuss that first and then circle back to the remainder.
Okay.
And if I may, I'll talk about the situation with Braylon and Oak Grove Elementary Schools.
So for the record, I'm sorry. For the record, that's proposal 2025-07 in your packet. So it's the second to last proposal.
So precinct 22 and precinct 17, precinct 22 is Braylon and precinct 17 is Oak Grove. Their actual voting locations are Braylon Elementary School and Oak Grove Elementary School. And we have continued to strive for actually a few years to find an alternative to Braylon Elementary because of the structure of the building does not lend itself to voter access without violating the security procedures that the school and the school board have in place. And so we've had to take extraordinary measures on election day, specifically on election day when they don't have digital learning, when the kids are actually in school, which primarily is during runoffs. In any case, we've had to take extraordinary measures, and the school has to preserve the security protocols of the school board. So that said, we have, the board and staff have researched an alternative location within that precinct, within precinct 22, and literally there is only one structure. It is a church, and the leadership of that church declined to allow us that opportunity to use their facility for elections. So we actually do have a precinct that has no other available facility that we could use. And the statute, as it's written, allows us to actually move outside of the precinct because of that and because of the impact on the operation of the school. And so, and I'm speaking a little bit about the statutes that we have, and I'm obviously not an attorney, so, but I'm trying to explain why we have the ability to move or co-locate the Braylon polling location outside of the actual precinct itself. So having said all of that, I'll turn it over to the director to cover anything I missed.
You did not miss anything. I would just ask for the board's approval, recommendation to move forward with merging. Yes, merging. Oh, no. Co-locating.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Co-locating those two precincts into Oak Grove Elementary School as a polling location. I have a question for Attorney.
Sure.
Well, we're about to answer it. I was going to ask, do they need to do a motion to direct me to move forward with the hearing?
I mean, let me cover something real quick before we get to that, but I just want to make it clear that OCGA 21-2-265 governs the location of polling places. And in subsection E of that, it says that the superintendent may, which is you, may establish a polling place outside of a precinct if there is no suitable facility within the precinct which could be used as a polling place, and if by doing so, such polling place would better serve the needs of the voters. You also have to do this at least 90 days before the election, which was already discussed by the director. Usually that's going to be a pretty difficult bar to get past, because if you've had a polling place in a precinct, you've had a suitable facility. If there's an issue with that polling place, which we may have in this case because of the security concerns that have been raised by the school board, then that may give you the basis to determine that there's no suitable facility. So as far as the question about a motion, at this point you would need to, if you wanted to do this, you would need to move forward with putting out a notice. It's my understanding that we're talking about doing this for the November election, is that correct?
That's correct.
So 90 days is probably looking at early August.
August 6th.
Yeah. So I guess you could have a motion to direct the director to begin preparing a notice for whatever meeting before that date y'all want to do this.
Is it okay to ask to do it for the March meeting? Only so that we'll have it.
I mean, whichever meeting you want. I mean,
Okay.
the notice, I believe, has to run once a week for 2 weeks. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So as long as you can meet that standard, yeah.
And the only reason I'm requesting it early is so that during the June election, any changes we make, we can go ahead and give that education piece out during that time, so they'll know in November that their location may or may not have changed.
By way of discussion, before we actually put out a motion, if I'm okay to do that, one of the things that the director and the staff and I discussed in relationship to this specific change or potential change is if we know during the June election that we intend to move for November, then we have the opportunity to notify the voters, literally give them a notice when they come in to vote in June, and if there's a runoff in July, the same thing would apply, that advise them that the subsequent elections will be located at the new location. So not only would we comply with the statute of notification of the voters via the mail, but we would also have that extra time to notify them, the folks that come in to vote in June and or July, if there's the runoff. So we have that opportunity if we make the decision sooner rather than waiting until after the June election. But the discussion was to not time compress it by trying to do this for the June election, but only make the change after those summer primaries for the fall election cycle. So that was the discussion that staff and I had as far as getting the information out to the voters and reducing the impact on staff as far as compressing the timeline and the work necessary to make this happen.
And if I could provide a little more, I guess, historical background to this, I believe that when this was originally looked at, Oak Grove was ruled out as a possibility because of capacity. The law used to mandate a certain number of machines per registered voter, and I think it was determined that we couldn't fit that many machines at that location. The law has been changed, and that number has been reduced, plus the law has given the superintendent of elections more flexibility in dealing with that. So I don't think that's a concern anymore. I wasn't part of that process, so I can't verify that was the reason Oak Grove was not determined to be a good option. I also believe, and again, my memory on this may be fuzzy, that we had an issue where one of these two schools was not available for an election because of renovations. And I don't know if it was Braylon or Oak Grove, but we ended up having to have both of the polling locations at one of those schools rather than at the separate schools. I want to say it was both at Oak Grove, but I don't know that for certain.
I
So
think
it's
it's the opposite. I think it was both at Braylon.
it was both at Braylon. Okay.
I think so.
So we've had some history of kind of co-locating these precincts before, not necessarily in the way we're trying to do it now, but it is something that has come up before.
Question for the director. Have we reached out, had the opportunity to reach out to any of the principals at the school or the school board before we do this? Have we had a chance to discuss this possibility with them at all?
To discuss this possibility in particular, no. We have sent out election dates and also a survey to all of the facilities to kind of get a gauge that they're still going to stick with us for this year, but we haven't discussed this possibility yet, only because I want to be sure that's the direction that we're moving into before we set off any alarms. I know there might be a celebration on the Braylon side, so I don't want to confuse anyone, but we can, if we want to kind of set it back another month and maybe do the hearings in April, it is an option to give us more time to make sure that we have an actual facility to go to before making any moves. So that is an option if it's for the November election.
Can I make some comments?
Of course.
Okay. Yeah, for me, this would be a great move. We've had, even during our time, the past year, we've had a principal, the principal of Braylon. We've had teachers from Braylon. We've had parents of children at Braylon. We've had grandparents with children at Braylon who were all basically begging us to go someplace else. And their big concern is, especially with all the, how do I say that, shootings, if you will, around the country, that being an elementary school, that they considered it a severe risk, let's put it that way. So, and I believe we've also talked to, nobody from the board has made a comment, right? I mean, to you, to the board about whether we can do this. The school board, sorry. No.
No.
And for me, if we've got that many people that concerned, I'm all for moving it. I mean, or co-locating it, whatever you want to say, because I happen to think that the parents that are down there would be thrilled. I did ask, at some point, I think I was talking to some of the poll managers, and because it's been done once, although it was done at Braylon, that gym is huge at Oak Grove.
Yes, it is.
And it looks to me like it would be plenty of room for both of them to locate there. So I'd say, yes, I think we need to do this. but in November. I mean, give them, everybody plenty of time to do it, but I can't see anybody having a fit about it, seriously. I mean, voters that don't have kids maybe, but.
Yeah, and another consideration is the June election will be when school is out, so it won't be as a concern then.
Yes.
And as we discussed, the November election day is a digital learning day
Yeah, I believe
because
so also.
the school board, when they build their calendar, they know that first Tuesday in November is going to be an election, so they countywide make that a digital learning day, but not the runoff,
Right.
which would be December. So really the impact from a security procedure would be a December runoff. So, further discussion before I ask for a motion?
Yeah, I've heard the same things as you, Charlene, from the public, from the parents, from school teachers as well at the facilities. It is definitely a security threat, and but I do like the idea of taking another month to solicit the advice and opinions of the leadership of the schools as well. So I don't know if that would be a possibility or the board's opinion of that. But yeah, this is definitely something we need to take movement on because we've heard a lot quite often about the security threats there at the precinct because it is, of course, opening the school up to potential security risks. So definitely.
Trying to think through how we want to go about this as far as a motion or to table it a month to give staff the opportunity to discuss this with the school.
I mean, you could do it either way. If you want to go ahead and have a motion for her to prepare the notice for the April meeting, or if you would prefer to wait until March to do that, to give her time to meet in the interim. It's whatever. If you think it would be better to hold off on even pursuing the notice until after there's been discussions, then I would say just bring it back up at your March meeting.
The only thing,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so most of the work has been done as far as moving forward. The only thing that I would need to do now outside of the notice is reach out to the facility and make sure that, we're all on one accord, if that helps with your decision to follow up with Attorney Stokes.
I suppose a motion could be made to have her do the notice for the April meeting, pending her conversations with the principals.
Which actually makes sense because it also gives staff the opportunity to actually make one more visit to the location to verify that all the logistics necessary, we'd be able to meet that. So at this point, I'd entertain a motion to
Direct staff to prepare a notice for the April meeting to move the polling place for the Braylon precinct to the Oak Grove Elementary, pending discussions with the principals of those schools and reviewing the facilities again. And it's a lot, I know, and you don't have to repeat anything that
I
I'm
was
about
going
to
to say, would someone please say,
Yeah,
so
I'll-
moved?
And,
Yeah.
and bringing this back in March if we have any issues that are brought up by those conversations. Does that make sense? Okay.
And what is it that we're doing in April?
Is-
It's a hearing, so before any
would-
polling locations can be changed, we have
For
to
the
have a
public?
hearing.
Yeah, the official action to move the polling place will occur at the April meeting.
Yeah. And part of that, as I glanced down at our statute, our book of statutes, we also have to send a report to the state election board explaining why we're doing the move. So we have a proposal. If someone would like to move on that without repeating it,
I can try. Mr. Chairman, I move to submit notice for the April hearing pending communication with leadership of the facilities and staff visiting the site and determining its suitability for its use as a precinct.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, so that is the only precinct that we'll be discussing as far as co-locating. And now I'll turn it back over to the director to discuss the possibility of precincts merging.
Thank you. If you all would turn with me to number 8, the last one for Camp Creek. And I'm going to that one because it makes the most sense. So currently, we have 2 precincts at one location and 2 separate rooms at the same facility. I would like to ask if we can actually merge that precinct and make it into one precinct. And that is, I'm sorry for the record, that is number 33 Camp Creek to be merged into number 20 Wingate Oak, since they are already what I would consider co-locating, but they all have the same. I know it's kind of hard to talk about district codes, but all of the voters for both of those precincts live in the same districts across the board, whether it's school board, commissioners, Senate, House, they're all in the same district, so it would be a very easy merge to make. We have checked Camp Creek area precinct. I had Supervisor Johnson do a search to see if there are any facilities inside of Camp Creek because I wasn't sure of the history of why 2 were in one. And it looks like Camp Creek is only residential or highly commercial, but I believe he said no commercial, only residential. So there's no facility within the Camp Creek precinct for them to host a polling location. So I am asking for this to actually become one single precinct. Whether it's Camp Creek Precinct, Wingate, or a new name. But I'm asking for the voters to be merged into one single precinct for proposal number 8, which is already located at Evergreen Church, 400 Wingate Road in Peachtree City.
When you say registered voters, 1,065, that is for one of these precincts?
That is correct.
And what's the total if it's merged?
The other number is 2,077
That is correct.
for actual Camp Creek. So Wingate is 1,065 from the document that we have from yesterday. And then Camp Creek would be 2,077 for a total of roughly 3,000, call it 3,150.
You're so close. It's 3142, if my hand correction is correct. That was so good. So it would be 3,142 voters. But I would like to point out that it has seen over a 50% drop at both locations since the last election. So in 2022, it had a 29% turnout for, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong place. It had a 33% turnout for Wingate and a 25% turnout for Camp Creek. However, this past year, it was a 17% turnout for Wingate and a 13% turnout for Camp Creek. So it has seen a tremendous drop on Election Day turnout. And I just want to say that I think that across the board, a lot of people are doing more advanced voting because advanced voting is so much quicker and so much easy, and those printers are everything when it comes to the wait times and processing people much faster. So we are overall seeing a larger turnout in advanced voting than Election Day.
Questions for the director?
I've just got one small one, and maybe it's a silly one, but in looking at the map, I noticed that there's a small portion of the Camp Creek precinct, as it is right now, that it looks like is outside of the municipality of Peachtree City, outside of the municipal borders. Are there any issues posed by this consolidation involved in that, in those certain areas, in case they're residential or in case anybody lives in those areas?
When you say that you see that it's outside of, do you repeat the question? I just want to make sure I get the correct answer.
So I see on the map the cross-hatched area. I think that is Peachtree City, I believe.
Okay.
The municipal borders of Peachtree City. And there's small areas in the red that are outside of the municipal borders of Peachtree City. I'm just curious if there's any issues involved in that in case anybody lives there.
No, there are no issues. Those actual lines are for the actual city of Peachtree. I took this from a bigger map. Actually, I took it from the map that you see in the back and kind of just broke it down a little bit so you can see closer. So there are no issues.
Okay.
You're saying the combo codes are the same for both precincts, for everything?
Yes, ma'am.
And what would we do with poll workers? Would we be reducing
That is correct. How-
whatever, 6 or 8, or however that we normally assign, we would be down one precinct, is that right?
That is correct. But we are reviewing our need for poll workers, especially in cases like this where we're going into a larger precinct. We discussed it yesterday briefly. So that's something that we would consider as well. But yes, we would go down to one single set of poll workers.
And
So-
they would vote in one room?
That is
Like now
correct.
you have 2, so now they would all vote in the same room?
That is correct. On the same machine.
Any further questions for the director? I'd entertain a motion on the possibility of initiating the process to combine precinct, make sure I get these right, precinct 20 Wingate with precinct 33 Camp Creek to make a single precinct.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to initiate to direct staff to initiate the process to consolidate the number 20 Wingate and number 33 Camp Creek precincts.
I'll second.
And just so everybody understands what that process looks like, the board would be directing the director to prepare a report, and this may be enough to constitute that report, but we'll discuss that and further. But there will need to be at least 30 days, or a notice giving at least 30 days notice of the final, the meeting at which you make this final decision. So I don't know if we need, I don't know if we need to set that up now. We probably don't, but just understand that before this comes back before you, there will be a 30-day notice published.
So we have a motion and a second. As far as discussion,
Do we have at any point, I mean, right now, we're just directing the director to move in this direction. Is there a point, do we have hearings for the public, the people that live in these precincts to come in and,
Based
I
off-
can't imagine them having a problem, but
The law states that objections are to be filed before the decision is to be made. In the past, the board has conducted public hearings on these things. So yes, the public hearing would occur at that meeting that we advertise
okay.
with a 30-day notice.
And as I understand it, I've been directed to hold that meeting in April.
Well, that was for
that was
Braylon. If you want to have it in April, we can probably meet that. This is a little different from how we usually deal with merging precincts, because we're talking about also moving polling places in those cases, but we're not in this case because they already are
This
located at the
particular
same
one is
location.
already
This should be
co-located.
easy.
And to clarify, that any change that we made in relationship to this, and I would ask to amend the motion, that it not take effect until after the potential July runoff. So it would not take effect until the first election would be the November 2025 election that this would apply to.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would amend my motion to that effect, to only go into effect for the November election of this year.
And so we have a motion and a second for merging precincts 20 and 33 for staff to initiate that process and set up the public hearing for April. Any further discussion? In that case, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Back to the director for other polling locations.
Thank you. For proposals 1 through 6,
You said 6?
1 through 6. So we can go back to proposal 2025-01 Kenwood. So what we just did, where we took the 8 proposals, but the 2 that needed more priority were addressed first. So for proposal 1 through 6, it would be just determining if you would like, because we're not doing any co-locations due to the 265 stature. So now it's a determination of if we want to do a full precinct change, because that's the only other option that is available for the rest of these 6 locations. We are prepared to do a full merger. However, you all would just advise me on if you would like to move forward. So for Kenwood, instead of it being Kenwood and Europe into one location, it will become 1 precinct, just as we did for the last proposal. Because co-locating,
You couldn't, well, you would be hit with that requirement that there be no suitable facility if you just move them to one location, because you'd be moving the polling place out of one of the precincts.
and that's for the remainder of the 6.
So I think the only real way to do what's being proposed here is to merge the precincts. I will caution the board that a large-scale precinct consolidation was proposed a number of years ago, and the opposition was so great that they decided not to move forward. I would imagine you'd get a similar level of opposition if you tried to do anything on this large a scale.
But I'm prepared either way. I am prepared either way on whatever the decision is. But if we were to move forward with the merger, this would actually be the proposal. The recommendation, rather. So-
Again, can you give us the numbers, Gary, on each location registered voters and total, please?
Okay, so the proposal for Europe and Kenwood, Europe has 3,593, Kenwood 1,028 voters, for a combination of roughly 4,600. Next, Oak Ridge and Morning Creek. Oak Ridge 2,480, Morning Creek 3,220, for a combined, call it 5,700 even. Fayetteville East 2,344, Jeff Davis 3,208. I'll let you do the math on those. And just switch back to the most current information
Harps
from the
Crossing
director.
and Murphy?
So we have a combination. The next combination would be Murphy, Antioch, and Harps.
3 of them.
3. And so Murphy has 3,477 registered voters, Antioch 2,060, and Harps 1,968. That would push about 7,000 voters into that area. And discussion yesterday with staff when we put this into the computer for driving, Murphy, the impact on the voters in Murphy would be significant in that it would be at least a 6-mile drive, roughly 10 minutes each way. So that while the proposal before the board still includes that, the discussion yesterday was to actually remove Murphy from that because there's no good way to get from the Murphy polling location. You basically have to come back into Fayetteville and then back down 92 to get to Harps, or go south. And so that was part of yesterday's conversation with staff. But going on to the next, the Dogwood-McIntosh combination. Dogwood has 3,788, McIntosh 3,704, which again would push 7,500 voters. And then Flat Creek, 2,418, and Willow Bend, 2,218.
May I interject? Board Member Alexander, so you do have in this report all of those numbers that he just provided, as well as the voter turnout history. It was right before the proposals.
Okay, sorry.
Secondly, since we are aiming for the November general election and municipality combined instead of June, I do want to consider, and correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney Stowe, that if you need more time, maybe a consideration can be pushed back to give you a moment to kind of look over the numbers and the proposal that I gave you as well. So I don't want anyone to feel like you have to make a decision today since it's for the November election and not the June election. So in my original report on this 2-page document, I do say that we have to make a decision by March 19th. However, since it seems that we all have agreed to aim for November and not June, it does give you more time to make an informed decision and take a closer look at the documents. I just thought I would put that out there. Is that correct, Attorney Stowe?
Yes, if that's what the board wants to do. If there's additional information that you would like to have from the director, it would give you time to decide what that is. Just given the the politics, I guess, of this type of decision, it's one you want to be very prepared for, because not only are you talking about the community, you're also going to probably invite scrutiny from the Department of Justice, because they do tend to look at things like changing the lines of precincts with a hard eye. So just keep that in mind as well.
One of the other things, since we're in discussion, one of the other things that staff brought up yesterday was growth within the county. Real estate development, if you will. The area in and around Trilith, north of Highway 54, is expanding. I live in the south part of the county where there's still a fair amount of land that is available for development. So if we were to combine precincts and then have substantial real estate development, specifically in perhaps in that Trilith, which is somewhere in the area of Dogwood, we have the potential to oversize our precinct, if you will. So that needs to be part of our thought process as far as not just 2025's voting cycle, but 2026 going all the way 2028, because what we don't want to do is make a change and then have to reverse that a year or 2 years down the road and cause confusion for the voters, and also then we have to find a location that we have previously vacated. So that needs to be part of our thought process, as well as all the legal aspects. So questions?
I think another thing that you'd want to have before any decision was made is an expectation of what benefits are going to be derived from doing this. Are there going to be cost savings? If so, what do we estimate those are going to be? Do we expect there to be any convenience benefits? So those types of things would need to be part of any report that's presented as part of this sort of change.
Go ahead, if you have questions.
Yeah, I
Or-
do. I think before, when we went through this before, and there was so much flack, it concerns me if we start combining what I consider to be some rather large precincts. That concerns me. I won't say that we've had timing issues, but for example, right now, Kedron is our largest. They have like 6,000, I believe. And I don't think we've had any big problems there. Parking sometimes gets to be an issue. Second largest, I believe, is Sandy Creek, which is about 4,400, something like that. So when we start talking, for example, with 2025-03, well, even 02, but let's say 03, when we start talking 5,500, pushing, taking 2,300, which is our typical, to 3,200, those start concerning me. The only thing that doesn't, all we can say to the people is, if we're being honest, is we're saving money. Is that correct?
Also, the turnout is lower because there's more advanced voting as well.
Well, I understand that, but
And then some precincts are within a half a mile from each other, so I don't know if that would be considered a benefit. It's just something I would consider as a positive on our end.
I definitely would say with the one that's 3, what you suggested, that we not do that one, not do the third one that's got, extra miles and you're really taking that one up. 2026, what you're saying, Gary, is absolutely correct. 2026, we're already hearing. That's going to be a huge turnout, not presidential, but it's going to be huge. And so I think we have to consider that, where this year we're not that concerned. PSC probably, we're going to be lucky to have hardly any turnout. But getting ready to go into 2026, I don't think we need to be doing any major moves, taking these precincts way up, especially if what we're going to say to people is, they're not having to drive a long way, which is good. But to say we're doing it to save money, I don't know if that's going to fly, but that's just my opinion. The only one I have serious heartache was that 3.
Before I turn it over to the Vice Chair for his comments, I wanted to just say that I ran some rough numbers. The cost savings, you're correct, is relatively minimal, perhaps 3%, 3 to 4% reduction in staff cost is if we changed all 8, our cost savings would certainly be less than 5%. So the financial impact is not that great. The question is there a benefit to the voters? Is there a benefit for the operation? And at this point, comments?
Yes, certainly. I would take the comments and opinions of Patrick pretty seriously. I think I would like to see a more specific analysis of the benefit to the voter as far as relative convenience, the location of the precinct in regards to the population center, of course, of the precinct. Because, of course, some of these locations are very near to each other, but even looking at 2025-05, joining the Dogwood and McIntosh precinct, just like you mentioned, Gary, with the development of Trilith, additionally, that's a Northern Peachtree City precinct as well. So I think, keeping those separate too could potentially keeping, the municipal elections there, keep the voters within that precinct rather than combining them, just to keep confusion out of the mix. But also, if you combine those precincts, you create a 7,500 person precinct, which then would be our largest precinct, I think, in Fayette County. But I agree with your concerns as well, Charlene. I mean, it seems like 2026 is heating up, and right now, keeping it at least somewhat consistent for the voters' knowledge as we move forward is important, and I feel like some of these definitely do have merit, but I would definitely want to see a report on the cost saving, which, Gary, you said this is relatively negligent. Negligible, excuse me. The other precincts I would be open to looking at, but I would really want to see more details about how we're moving forward on this and what it stands to mean for the voters more.
Well, it's unusual for the chairman to make a motion. I think in this case, I'm going to do that, and we'll see if I get a second. I would make a motion that we table the polling location proposals 1 through 6 until the March meeting to give the board additional time to review what we have, as well as staff an opportunity to answer any questions that come up, because at this point I don't think the board is prepared to make a decision on these. So the motion would be to table proposals 1 through 6.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Yes. When you come in with your, for March, and you're going to do cost, et cetera, I would also be curious, I'm presuming that with, certainly like with Dogwood and McIntosh, you have all of that combo codes all changed, correct?
When you say all change, what do you mean?
Well, you have different municipals involved if you combine McIntosh to Dogwood, yes?
So to back up,
Isn't that called combo codes?
yes, and I considered those when I created these proposals, and with the exception of 2, all of the rest of them are in the exact same district, so their combo codes wouldn't have to change. I don't know if does that answer your question?
No.
Okay.
The only reason I'm saying that is that, as I understand municipals, you have the city of Peachtree City, which is McIntosh, those people.
Okay.
They would vote municipal for Peachtree City.
Okay.
But Dogwood, if you move it to Dogwood, I think that's what you were saying, Dogwood is Fayetteville,
Correct.
right?
So we have multiple combo codes within a precinct. So we wouldn't necessarily move the voter into a municipal district location in our system. They just would not be eligible for that municipal election, so it wouldn't require them to go to that polling location on election day. So we are able to have different combo codes in a precinct and and it's fine. So people that live inside of the city, if their location is outside of the city lines and it's a countywide election, then they can still go to that location to vote. We do consider those city lines if we are making changes to the boundaries. But I've set up these proposals so that we would not have to change any boundary lines. They're side by side. They all are already within the same district combos, which is equals to districts.
I'm just asking if we have any changes, if we were to do these mergers, if there's any changes to where they would vote for municipals. Just give me that information in March.
Understood.
Thank you.
So I have a motion and a second. Further questions, discussion? Call the vote. All in favor of tabling items 1 through 6 on the precinct, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the update for the 2025 election calendar. You have that in your packet. When we approved the calendar last month, we did not we had not been advised by the Secretary of State that we would be participating in the June and potentially July elections for the Public Service Commission. So staff is recommending that we amend the June and July meeting dates to combine certification of those elections, which would move them from the fourth Tuesday to the Friday after the election day, specifically Friday, June 20th, for certification of the primary, and then July 18th, Friday, for certification if there's a runoff. So that is the change that staff is recommending.
Question?
Of course.
Do we still have to have that 3 p.m. meeting before the 5 p.m. Meeting?
As far as I know, that hasn't been changed. That they could change it between now and then, but as far as I know, that's still technically a rule.
So we would have, in June, we would have a 3 p.m. and then a 5 p.m.
But the 3 p.m. meeting would be considered a special call meeting. Correct me if I'm wrong, so that's why it's not included on his
Okay,
actual calendar.
just for my notes, okay, sorry.
That would also apply for July if we actually had to certify the July,
Right, and,
if there was a July runoff.
yeah,
So,
and November
but we
and
would do
December also.
both of those 3 PMs as special
Yeah,
call, pending any changes by the state election board.
Okay.
I'd entertain a motion to approve the changes to the calendar.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the proposed changes to our Board of Elections meeting schedule.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the January 28th, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Quick question, Mr. Chairman. Seeing as I was absent at this meeting, would it be proper for me to abstain from this vote?
You are able to vote on this.
Okay.
this.
Yes.
Then, Mr. Chairman, I would second the motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. All in favor of approving the January 28th minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the public hearing of staff's recommendation to remove the Fayette County voters from the election list who are deceased. And you have the list in your packet. We have 130 folks who have passed away.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we accept the deceased list as provided by staff.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the removal of Fayette County voters from the election list who are classified by the Secretary of State as felons. We have 22.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept staff's recommendation.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is actually removal of Fayette County voters who have been classified as mentally incompetent, and I understand that we have 0
That is
for
correct.
this month. So moving on to the next item on the agenda is staff's recommendation to remove Fayette County voters from the electors list who have been canceled.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept staff's recommendation.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the director's report. Director Garrett?
Greetings, Board. As of February 21st, 2025, there are 103,217 registered voters in Fayette County. I did plan on addressing the Public Service Commission election, but we've kind of already spoke on it briefly. But just for the record, we will be hosting an election on June 17th, 2025 for the special primary for Public Service Commission, as well as a special election on November 4th, 2025 for Public Service Commission, alongside our municipalities' elections. So please make sure that you save the date. Also, on August 10th through the 13th, Gabrielle will host this conference in Savannah, Georgia. So please, if you have not already, I know we spoke about it briefly, but I just really want to bring that to light because we're getting closer and they're going to start releasing that information. Gabrielle held a meeting on last week, a webinar to kind of give us an update on some of the things coming up for that, but that does include the board for training in Savannah, Georgia. So hopefully by the end of next month, I will have your hotel reservations and more information for you. They do plan on releasing that information the second week in March, but please save the date for that on your calendar, and that is August 10th through the 13th. So there was discussions about our Tyrone advanced voting location in the past. And there's ongoing continuous discussions, but I do want to inform you that at this time, I did ask Supervisor Johnson to research some locations in Tyrone as a backup, but they don't plan on putting us out. There were talks of them demolishing the building at one point, which is why they gave us the alert, hey, we don't want to put you in a bind. We want to make sure that you get the information ahead of time and that you're not scrambling to find another site. But at this current time, there has been no other plans or a date set for anything. So as long as the building is up and available, is up, then Manager,
Brandon.
well, I just know him by his first name. But Manager Brandon did say we are more than welcome to use that facility. Thank you. As long as the building is up. He did talk about some other proposals in the future as they start renovating other buildings. I just don't want to put it on the record yet, but I just want to be clear that Tyrone is working with us. They really want advanced voting to be in Tyrone. It's just a matter of finding that backup facility. And out of 7 proposals or recommendations that Margaret Johnson reached out to, only 1 has said no so far, and the other ones have ignored us, but we will revisit those and tap them on their shoulder to kind of get an update. But I wanted to keep you all updated as well on that location. You were about to ask a question?
I know that there's been a number of maintenance issues with that facility, which is why they were talking about trying to shut it down. Gas leaks and a lot of different things. But if they're saying that that's okay, then that's good. Did you talk with the Baptist Church, Tyrone? First Baptist? Huh?
I think I did. I didn't bring my list.
Okay.
I reached out to several locations. One of them was the library.
Yep.
When I spoke to Tyrone, they've actually been at the library and they were at another facility, but both of those facilities said no to hosting.
Right. And I know Dogwood Church has said no. The only 2 that might be possibles was, for a long time, we voted at First Baptist, which is on Arrowhead. And I think we should probably, I'll go over and talk to them if you want me to. Or the other one is Operation Mobilization.
Well, the thing is, with us considering advanced voting, not election day,
Right.
then that's those 3 weeks of taking up someone's space, calendar, storage, including Saturdays, possibly Sundays for bigger elections, because we don't want to keep moving. So we just do take that in consideration, especially with the churches, because that would mean putting them in a bind or out of space for such a long period
We
of time.
used to do early voting at the Baptist Church,
Gotcha.
as well as Election Day. Operation Mobilization would probably be something different, but, okay, thank you.
But we will take that into consideration. Lastly, on March 6th, our office will be closed for Staff Development Day, and kind of working on in-house operations and ideas and getting more cohesiveness inside of our department. That concludes my director's report, unless you have any additional questions for me.
What did you say were the dates? It's in August, correct?
August 10th through the 13th. And I'll be sending an email with the information as soon as they release it. So I'll be sure to include that.
Any other questions for the director? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the attorney's report.
The only thing I have is, I believe at the last meeting I briefed you on a pending case it's currently in Spalding County. But a gentleman named Garland Favorito filed a lawsuit to challenge the Secretary of State's race in 2022. And it's been pending since then because no judge has been assigned to the case. A judge has been assigned to the case. I think that's what I told you back in January. And it's my understanding that the judge has agreed to dismiss the case against all the counties. So we're just waiting on that order to come through. So.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is board member reports. Arlene?
We've just got a lot going on. I think this is great that we're taking some action, especially about the Braylon precinct. That's really bothered me for some time. So, other than that, no,
Right.
I have nothing to report.
Zach?
Nothing big, just same thing. I'm glad that we solved that problem for the public and for the voters. Also that we got these IGAs done. I think that's really big, and also maintaining that relationship with our municipal partners, Peachtree City, Fayetteville, Tyrone Brooks, Woolsey soon, right? But yeah, looking forward to getting that one done as well.
And I really don't have anything either. I'd like to thank staff for all their hard work on the preparation, and I would ask that the board members, if they have questions about these items 1 through 6, or precinct combinations of 1 through 6, that get them to the director so that she can, have the answers to the questions that we come up with. Because I'm certain as we look at this, we'll come up with more and more things that we're that come to mind and we want an answer to.
And we're discussing those in March.
Yeah, we tabled items 1 through 6 until March. So, yeah,
Okay.
great. And then that we have nothing for executive session. Next item on the agenda is adjournment.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.